Good evening and welcome to the national debate. Ladies and gentlemen, what we are witnessing is not just a logistical failure. It is India's biggest aviation embarrassment in recent history. IndiGo, the country's largest airline with over 65% market share, has completely botched up its response to new safety norms meant to protect pilots and passengers alike. Flights cancelled, passengers stranded, airports in chaos, and all because IndiGo failed to plan, failed to hire and failed to care. The airline had 2 full years to prepare for the new flight duty time regulations. But instead of investing in more pilots, it chased profit. Now it's crisis management mode with the government scrambling. The DGCA summoned as well as opposition slamming both the airline as well as the in-ministry. Tonight we ask, is IndiGo too big to fail or too careless to fly? And where is the accountability for the thousands, the tens of thousands, for the systems that collapse and for the silence from the top brass as well? Why was such a crisis allowed to develop in the first place is a question that we are asking. And before I introduce our panelists, let's quickly take you through what really is the entire controversy. There are new rules that were brought in for pilot rest. These were government-enforced stricter rules for pilot safety. The new flight duty time limitations were brought in after a court order, and the aim was to avoid pilot fatigue and improve flight safety at the same time. What is the action being taken? There was preparation time of 2 years. Airlines had enough time to actually hire more pilots. The aim was to maintain schedules with new rest limits. But what went wrong when it came to IndiGo, which handles 65% of India's domestic aviation market? It A, didn't hire enough pilots. B, while it did have enough planes, it should have planned for enough pilots. They also rapidly expanded on international routes in the same period, while they should have in fact been focusing on ensuring that they comply with the norms. What is the impact of all this? From late June, we've been seeing massive delays and cancellations. The worst hit were Delhi, Mumbai, bengaluru, Hyderabad airports where passengers were stuck, no help on ground and chaos at the airports. This has been completely exacerbated over the last 3 days. Now the government and DGCA have had to step in. The government has ordered a high-level inquiry. They have said that operations should be restored within 3 days. They have also said that airfares should not spike. However, they have also gone back to the old norms to ensure that IndiGo can actually continue flying. Now, what are these FDTL norms? Just to understand that. Now, this provides 48-hour weekly rest. Earlier, the norm was 36 hours, which in itself was in violation of what the internationally prescribed standards are. The night hours, from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Earlier, it was 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. Thirdly, 2 night landings a week for a pilot. Not more than 2 consecutive night duties. And airlines must file quarterly fatigue reports. This was implemented in July and November post the Delhi High Court directive. It was to come into operation in November 2025. The implementation in terms of the announcement happened way back in July. They had enough time to implement it if they really wanted to. But viewers, let's understand the timeline. In the last 4 days, since the 2nd of December, how many flights were cancelled because of the ongoing mess? These numbers are going to shock you. We're talking about the flights cancelled on the 2nd of December, which is day 1. It is 140 flights. On the 3rd of December, that's day 2, it was 130 flights. On the 4th of December, there were more than 500 flights that were cancelled. And today, on the 5th of December, the numbers are at a staggering over 1,000 flights that have been cancelled. Can you believe it? This is, of course, a big question that we're going to be debating today. What really has led to the kind of situation that we're talking about? Let's quickly take this across to our panelists joining us. We have Mr. D.S. Raghavan, who's the former president of the ATC Guild and joint general manager of Air Traffic Management and Aviation Safety. Kavita Singh is director of Safety Matters Foundation. We have C.S. Randhawa, president of the Federation of Indian Pilots. We have Somen Mohanty, an affected passenger. Aryan Singh, another affected passenger. Also with us is Dr. Sumit Susilan, who's, of course, AAC member and Ministry of Civil Aviation and chairman of Divine Air. We have Professor Jyotsna Tirunagari, who's the national spokesperson of the TDP. We have another passenger, Jacqueline, who's also joining us on the show. Jacqueline Barnes is also with us. Let me start first and foremost with our passengers, because I think the sense that and the suffering that they have gone through is what people need to hear the most about. Jacqueline Barnes, take us through the kind of issues that you have faced on ground You're at the Delhi airport, I believe.
Right.
What's happening around you?
Yeah, I'm at the Delhi airport. There's chaos all over here, and it's been like this. I'm here since 12 hours, more than 12 hours over here, and there's all I can see is just chaos.
All right.
Chaos
all that
and confusion. There are no flights. Yeah.
All right.
IndiGo has no flights. The other companies, they have, yeah.
Yeah, and the other companies could comply with these FDTL norms. Let me bring in fact, Captain Randhawa on this. He's the president of the Federation of Indian Pilots. Captain Randhawa, if other companies could comply, what exactly was IndiGo doing? Because over the last 2 years, they have been busily expanding their international routes rather than hiring more pilots, which they should have done if they actually wanted or had any intention of complying with these FDTL norms.
Good evening, Madhav. I'm again back on the show. I would like to first start what has transpired today. Today at 3 o'clock, there was a meeting with the pilot associations, with the minister and with the DG. And the FIP stand has been very categoric that you will not dilute the FDTL CR because the High Court has told very clearly that it has to be implemented in totality. Now, the IndiGo airline implemented it on 1st of November. And what you see today, the speech given by the CEO of IndiGo Airlines, it was planned. This was a planned maneuver. I have been stressing upon from day one that this is a planned maneuver, that there is a problem in their network planning. Extra flights have been allocated to them. Almost 150 flights a day have been allocated when they have crew shortages. The DGCA has approved 150 flights per day. And with the result, now they realize that they have to execute it. So they have taken the country to task and made sure that they stress upon to the government of India when the parliament is in session to get the waiver from the FDTL CR, which is a safety issue. And in spite of that, the government has gone ahead and given a total waiver to the airline. There will be no cancellations from the other airline.
Let me bring in other panelists. Dr. Sumit Sushilan. Now, you have been associated with the Ministry of Civil Aviation. If you're going to allot, as per the summer or the winter schedule, more flights to an airline, surely you will have to do a check of what the status is of their staff. Those are numbers the DGCA can very easily check. They have other mechanism of checking, such as flying squads. They can go to the airport and physically check what kind of crews they have, how many ground staff they have, how many pilots they have, whether they have enough or not. Despite all of these powers available with the regulator, with the Ministry of Civil Aviation, how could this big a catastrophe have been allowed to happen under the watch of the ministry and the regulator?
Madhav, the decision was taken by DGCA to give a relaxation period for every pilot which is required. And this was definitely discussed with the industry veterans, the airline, even the pilot associations. And at the last moment, how the IndiGo came up with saying that they don't have enough pilots. So this thing, it should be pre-planned by the airline when they know a year before that this thing will happen to them. That to be in the winter schedule when we know it's a festival season going on right now, and they had increased the number of flights also to international sectors. So this was something mismanagement done by IndiGo itself.
Of course, it's mismanagement by IndiGo, my dear sir. My simple question is, what are this government doing? What is the regulator doing? Do they not have eyes and ears? Do they not have the ears to the ground? Do they not know how many pilots an airline has? And why are they allotting them more slots if they don't have those slots? It's pre-planned, says our panelist. Was it an open blackmail? Was it a threat to the government that if you try to implement this norm, we will crash your sector? And that's exactly what they've successfully done.
Given these sectors to them well in advance. We have not allocated any new sector to them. But now when the policy came up, we had given them enough notice time that when they should have enough pilot backup.
Captain Randhawa says otherwise. Captain Randhawa, were they not allotted any new sectors?
Not accepted. No the flight schedules are submitted by the airline 3 months before the start of the season. So when it is submitted, the DGCA is supposed to check the availability of the aircraft, the crews, the slots, the infrastructure, and the manpower. Everything has to be checked before the approval of the schedule. I have worked in DGCA myself for 10, 11 years. So I do not agree with this gentleman.
Respond, Mr. Sushilin. If they look at the shots, just look at the pathetic situation that exists at the airports across India. Just look at the frustration of passengers. They're jumping on top of counters, terminals, because they're absolutely frustrated with the situation. What kind of Viksit Bharat are we talking about, sir? This is how we manage our airports and airlines.
Which we are given. We know in a couple of months, we will be definitely implementing the policy. Now,
No, my dear sir, we have succumbed to that blackmail. We have succumbed to the blackmail by saying that we will not implement FDTL now. This should have been thought out and implemented many months ago when the schedules were being submitted. Let me bring in Mr. Raghavan on that note. Dear Raghavan.
Another point I would like to bring in, Madhav, that the dispensation has been very coolly given by the Government of India, a blanket clearance, whereas they have not cancelled still the extra schedule approval which they have given. See the fun.
Well, absolutely shocking state of affairs, if I can put it mildly. But I want to bring in Mr. D.S. Raghavan. Mr. D.S. Raghavan, you have Peter Elbers who comes out today and says that, we have decided to hit a hard reboot. This hard reboot they're talking about, why could this not have been done earlier? Why did they not curtail their schedules if they didn't have the capacity to run these flights?
Exactly. Very good evening, Madhav and my fellow panelists. Very true, Madhav. This has been a gross mismanagement, I would say, because this is compromising on safety. Now the pilots have been given the duty timing limitations, like the air traffic controllers also have been given the duty time limitations. And I would like to say from the air traffic controller side, they have not been able to follow these things in totality, even today. Air traffic controllers who are doing duties all round the clock from right 1947 up to 2011 without even a single day off, which is supposed to be considered as the most stressful job, were finally given a off after the Bengaluru air crash. There was Civil Aviation Safety Advisory Committee formed, and based on the court recommendations, they said an air traffic controller should have a minimum amount of 24 hours between each duty. And today, air traffic controllers, still there is shortage. They have implemented that revised duty rosters, but asking the controllers to come for additional duties at 25% of their normal wages, which again I will say is a breach of safety norms, the very purpose for which it was introduced. Same thing is happening to the pilots also now. This was not a new phenomena. Even after the Mangalore crash, I remember it was due to the fatigue factor was also one of the factors for the air crash which happened in Mangalore. And that was also a court observation. Even 2 years or 3 years before this has been told to be implemented by DGCA, why DGCA has not followed it up, whether Airports Authority of India or airlines concerned, or following it and implementing in totality? How they are allowing them to rather breach away or reduce the intensity of the norms. That is also against the safety norms of passenger safety and airline operations. Who is going to be accountable for this?
Absolutely.
DGCA cannot escape by saying that airlines did not do it. Airlines should have done it, yes. But what were they doing for the past 2 years?
This raises serious questions. It's not just, I think it would be a huge injustice to just seek accountability. Of course, the persons who are in the chair, the current minister, the current DGCA will be held to account because the crisis has happened now. But this is not a crisis that has developed now. And let me bring in fact, on that note, Kavita Singh. Because Kavita Singh, since successive years, these FDTL norms, which are internationally accepted standards, have been diluted by regulators. It's not a crisis that's developed overnight. And look at the brazenness. When the pilots and when the crews approach the courts, when they get a court order in their favor, when the regulator rules in their favor, implements the norms, you have airlines which are saying, no, we will not do it. Why? Because it will impact on their margins. Ultimately, all they are bothered about is how they make profits, safety be damned, passengers be damned.
Exactly. This has been the battle going on for years, commercial considerations, bottom line biases have always overridden safety. I mean, just an hour ago, our Honorable Minister said we have managed to find a solution to this. We have put the FTTL hours into abeyance. I want to understand how are passengers going to benefit from this situation? You are getting pilots who are already fatigued, who are already flying beyond requirements to continue for another 2-3 hours in what is going to be very adverse weather conditions and etc. etc. We all know the situation. What are we offering to our passenger? You can get on a flight at the risk of your life, the life of the entire crew, and the I don't understand what are we doing? And as passengers, why are we okay with that absolutely short-term immediate solution?
Absolutely. And let me take that question across to Professor Jyotsna Tirugiri. Because Professor Jyotsna Tirugiri, there are many crises and confusions over here which could have been avoided. Because A, you cannot allow any such private company which becomes a law unto itself. Here, what is being observed by several experts is that this is a typical case of a monopoly or a duopoly situation where the corporate decides that they will set the norms, that the regulator and the ministry don't matter. They will do exactly as they feel like, and they've gotten away with it. No fines, no penalties, the basic requirements. And we have passengers sitting here. You can ask them whether they were given food and refreshments, whether they were given hotel rooms despite over 24 hours of delay. A complete mockery of any kind of consumer protection that is going on right now in civil aviation at airports across the country. Professor Jyotsna.
Madhav, absolutely, I agree with each and every word that you have spoken, Madhav. I have to agree. There is no doubt about that, because definitely we are suffering as passengers. Everybody is suffering there. And as you rightly quoted, yes, floating of norms to the core. They haven't followed anything now. But Madhav, as I say all this, first and foremost, we have to first get the situation under control. And I know nobody can be spared. Whoever it is, at what position they are, Madhav, absolutely they cannot be spared, because I have 2-3 people on the panel who are who have suffered, and they are the little they are the ones who have faced the situation. So we are sitting here talking, but they are the ones who have faced the situation, so they know it better than all of us. Now, but my point is, yes, as you said, it is monopoly or duopoly or whatever. Let's talk it later, Madhav. But my point is, first focus on to getting the situation and normal, and first probably set the system, get it running first, let it be restored. First we'll get back to normalcy, and then definitely accountability will be fixed. Now, Madhav, I'll tell you one thing here. We are not shying away, we are not running away, we are not going away anywhere. Yes, whoever is responsible for this, they'll be taken to task, but at the same time, you have also to remember that, as you rightly quoted, the airlines has been flouting the norms. Definitely some people or some officials have ignored what is happening. That is the reason we see the situation today. But again, today when we are talking here, a committee has been formed exclusively on this particular thing, and IndiGo is being questioned. We are not leaving them. I mean, and they'll not be spared at all. Because
the sad part is,
one second, Madhav,
you're following procedure, all that is fine. But unfortunately, anything that happens which concerns the citizens of this country, whether it is, a stampede that happens outside the Bangalore Chinnaswamy Stadium, whether it is this kind of a situation which is unprecedented because the absolute brazenness with which it's happening, we have a committee. What we need is quick answers and quick solutions.
Yes, that is the reason. See, I know what one of the panelists said, is it the quick solution? But first, as I said, we have to bring back the normalcy. We have to see things are restored first. I'm not even calling it normalcy. I think I used a wrong word there, Madhav. It's not normalcy, it's at least getting the things restored. And yes, Madhav, as you rightly quoted, unforeseen situations, unfortunate situations have happened. Even this one has happened. But unlike others, we are not running away. We are here answering each and every question. We are here, trying to restore the situation. And then we are again here to fix the accountability. We will not.
Let's listen. Ma'am, please listen to the two passengers who are on the panel, and let's see how they take your response. Somen Mohanty, would you like to respond to Professor Jyotsna Tirugiri? And what would you like to tell her about the suffering that passengers you have experienced around you?
Thank you so much, Madhav. So first of all, I'd like to say this is unprecedented. First of all, I had my flight booked at 7:30 a.m. I was supposed to board the flight at 6:30. At 5:15 a.m. I receive a message which says that my flight has been cancelled. Till 2 a.m. at night, I was receiving messages which said that the flight is on time. So this is a case of a complete mess up wherein there is a complete over-reliance on one airlines, which is why this airline has been able to create such a situation of monopoly, because the FDTL norms which were to come into effect since last year, mid last year, 2024, they were supposed to be rolled out, but no, they were delayed only because all these airlines put pressure. Secondly, since being rolled out since 1st November 2024, we are already 1 month into the rollout program. And now the situation is getting worse. Rather than getting better, the situation is getting worse. And there are no answers, so to say. And since 1 month, whenever the flights have been cancelled, the other airlines have taken full advantage of that situation. Absolutely. So I was supposed to fly to Delhi today. When these flights got cancelled, it took a second for the other airlines like Air India, SpiceJet and all the other airlines to directly triple their airfares, air charges. So that's how the common man is suffering. There is no control. There is no regulatory authority to
respond to that. Professor Jyotsnagiri, what have we done? By restoring these FDTL norms, we are emboldening IndiGo. Who knows, once after a month or two, they may once again blackmail the government. They may again crash all their landings. They may say that we are not going to fly the airlines. And at the end of the day, there's predatory pricing going on. A ticket to Bombay costs more than a ticket from Delhi to Bombay costs more than a ticket from Delhi to London today. What kind of a bizarre situation and what kind of bizarre management do we have? Is this a Viksit Bharat that we are dreaming of?
Absolutely not, Madhav. And we don't dream such kind of things. We in fact are working against all these, and that's the reason we are here answering the questions, Madhav. And as you rightly said, absolutely not. Even the fares, everything is taken to the notice of the ministry. And in fact, as you said, Madhav, the levy or this thing given to IndiGo or any other airlines is one time. If you have noted it down, it's one time, and they cannot go back again on that. And it's only the limited time that they have been given to follow the norms and get back to whatever is required, which is set by the rules and regulations set by the
Ma'am, these rules and regulations have not served the citizens of this country and the traveling passenger public. Just look at the anger. And it's an international embarrassment because just look at your screens. I don't know if you can see the screen. There is a foreign national, ostensibly a person who appears to be a foreign national. And why is she angry? Many foreigners upset and angry because they're connecting flights they've not been able to catch. Why? Because the airline has held their luggage hostage. They said, we'll give it to you after 48 hours. Give us your address. People have connecting flights to catch. Someone whose house keys are there inside that. Someone has their medication inside their checked-in luggage. But no, the airline will not give it. Why? What really is the cause for this kind of behavior? Let me quickly bring in fact, Aryan Singh. Aryan Singh, have you heard of similar tales of families, of senior citizens, of children? When you were at the airport, just tell our viewers what you experienced firsthand.
Yes, Madhav, shortly. Before that, I'd like to get back to Ms. Jyotsna. So I just want to ask, like, right now, if you'll go on any travel portal and if you'll search like flight from Delhi to Mumbai or maybe any other land, you'll see the prices are more than 30,000, 40,000. So Ms. Jyotsna is claiming that they are trying to make the situation normal. May I ask, like, how many counters like are we really providing to the customers like who are facing this issue? To get on a call with customer care of IndiGo, you need at least 40 to 50 minutes right now to speak to their agent, because most of the people are just trying to resolve their issue and they don't have enough agents for this. I waited from around like 6 to 8 hours on the airport. I was there in my layover, which was supposed to be 1 hour, but it got extended till 8 hours. No refreshment was provided, nothing was provided, and there was like huge chaos. I met a lot of people who has to attend like medical consultation in other town, and there were so many who has to miss the wedding of their like closed ones. And it's just that IndiGo is sending one simple message that sorry for creating this situation. Just imagine, how can you justify the person who has lost somebody close to them and they want to reach the city? It's just that they are sending one emoji and like, we are sorry for the situation. So this is the mess they have created. DGCA has all the bare minimum that they can do right now is at least they can not give this situation to other airlines to make money out of this situation. If you see Air India, Akasa, they all are selling their tickets for like basic routes for like 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. So how will actually this go to the common man?
Well, I think the point is that the passenger suffering is to the extreme. This is something that we certainly, of course, cannot accept. And no country which has, this level of development can actually expect this. But let's quickly analyze what exactly has happened. Why has the DGCA buckled under this stress? Could this have been avoided? Because DGCA is now rolling back the rule on weekly rest or the flight duty time limitations as far as pilots and cabin crew are concerned. The reason being ostensibly given is that the decision will help airlines to manage staff shortage. The second move is that up to 6 night landings were allowed under the one-time exemption until the 10th of February now. That exemption has been given. The reason is that temporary relief will be given to restore operational normalcy. The third move, the night duty hours relaxed under the one-time exemption, that has also been extended till February 10th. Temporary relief to restore operational normalcy is what we are told. And in case you were wondering, how does IndiGo have the audacity to be so brazen? Here's the reason. This is one airline that has 65% share in the Indian aviation market, a number that perhaps allows it to put profits above everything else and even challenge the government and the regulator when it comes to such norms. And that's the big question. Just look at the numbers. IndiGo at 65%, Air India, which is of course the second biggest, and together the two of them are about 90% of India's civil aviation market. Akasa at 5.2, SpiceJet at 2.6%. These are primarily our Indian aviators. Can we afford to have such a lopsided situation when it comes to just one player calling the shots, having almost 2/3 of the market? That's the question. However, the Civil Aviation Ministry at the center of the controversy woke up to the chaos after 4 long days. Since IndiGo said that it wasn't in a position to fix things before the 10th of February, the government buckled in and overturned the new pilot rules, which essentially were instituted for flight safety, as we've been discussing. They've ordered a high-level inquiry and have directed the airline and all aviation authorities to take immediate measures. The big question that we're asking is that, is the government diluting norms in the name of flyers? Listen in.
Today we are seeing that the situation is getting better. From tomorrow we are expecting normalcy to start, in the sense there won't be any congestion or there won't be any waiting at the airports. At least for the last 6 months, we have initiated a process of continuously engaging with the airlines. We are calling the airlines, we are meeting them, and we are discussing all the issues that need to be faced. And through the last 1 month also, we have been observing, we are taking strict action on this, so that whoever was responsible into this needs to pay for it.
Government, however, is not alone in this. It took Peter Elbers, the CEO of IndiGo, 4 days and thousands of flight cancellations to finally speak up. And even then, he calls them operational disruptions. Now, in my view, these issues were not just operational. They are issues that have been artificially created. The airline had more than 2 years to meet these standards, to stick to the new duty norms, and that would have ensured that pilots and crew were properly rested when they fly aircraft with thousands of passengers. And let me take this right back to our guests who are with us. In fact, Captain Randhawa, there's a reason that we have these kinds of FDTL or flight duty time limitations. Why is it that we are seeing this kind of resistance? And the very fact, and you have also been stating that they've been brazening it out. Why, for instance, are there such few ground staff at these airports? One can understand there was a shortage of pilots. But passenger after passenger is telling us that there's nobody to tend for us, nobody to care for us. That just makes one wonder, which, as you said, that this was a deliberate ploy by the airline.
Absolutely. Now, Madhav, I want to bring in 2 very important facts. Firstly, I would like to state that when you give dispensations in DGCA in India, it is unheard of anywhere in the world. Whenever there is a change in policy required, you will change the rule or position. You will not give dispensation. Now, under IPC 307, can you give dispensation? They are murdering the pilot community in the country, and it has to be understood it is a safety factor. And you're playing with the safety. Tomorrow there is an accident or an incident, God forbidding, on this account, then who will be accountable? I want to know that.
That's a big question.
Nowhere in the world, you
Dr.
give
Cecilia,
dispensation.
answer that. Who is to be held to account? CASAC norms violated. We have not learned from the Bangalore crash. We have not learned from the Ahmedabad crash. Yet we continue to make these harebrained, dispensations in safety norms. Who will be held accountable, sir?
According to the Captain Randhawa, we had already discussed about the new policy with the experienced pilots for even the pilot guilds. This was the inputs from the experts from the pilot association only, and we had came with this new policy. And definitely the airline, as you said, is a monopoly or duopoly in Indian market. So overnight the flight got cancelled, and definitely the first priority to make the flight normal, because till today 500 plus flight got cancelled. If we continue and stick with the policy for another few more days, you know what we're gonna happen. So definitely the first priority for the government is to make things normal. Let the passengers start flying again.
What is the penalty that has been imposed on IndiGo for not following these norms?
Definitely, every time.
What is the penalty, sir?
If I tell you the last time when we had a discussion and there was a panel discussion on the broken seat, 80 lakh rupees penalty was implemented on Air India at that time. So definitely there will be a penalty and there will be a proper action will be taken against these companies.
What is the penalty that's going to be given to all the customers who are sitting, the tens of thousands of customers who have not been given the basic CAR norms? No food, no shelter, no alternative travel accommodation that's being given. What will happen to all of them?
Madhav, definitely it was a violations of all the policy which the airlines are doing, and definitely we had taken the complaint. There are Air Seva app where the people are putting up.
Will you file a criminal case against them?
There is an app of Air Seva where they can put up their complaints. And
sir, Air Seva app is something else. When will we make them face the law? When will we make them face justice, sir? That is what citizens want to see. That people who are providing basic services like this can't play fast and loose with the citizens of this country. There has to be an exemplary message sent out, Mr. Sushilan. What is the message that you're going to send out?
In a couple of days, you will see the notification from the Ministry of Civil Aviation for the same.
Kavita Singh. In a few days, we will see what will happen. What action needs to be taken now to protect the rights of consumers once and for all? Because we are fed up with what all we have seen. We've seen news of fake pilots. We've seen procurement scams. We've seen top agencies investigate them for several decades. No lessons are learned. Corruption, inefficiency, blackmail, all of that brazenness we've seen over the years. And civil aviation remains the same. Ultimately, nothing will change. Kavita Singh. Kavita, can you hear me? I think we've lost that line with Kavita. But I want to bring in Mr. D.S. Raghavan on that. Mr. D.S. Raghavan, no action will be taken. How is accountability going to be fixed?
Yes. Yes, Madhav, that's exactly I wanted to say. That this has always been the case. There has been postmortems being done. Why can't there be proactive methods? Safety is the primary concern. Yes, what you said is right. Passengers facilitation, like taking care of them, giving them accommodation, food, other things, yes, those things are immediate requirements. But in the longer run, passengers do not know. Pilots and air traffic controllers are the eyes of aviation industry, and they are doing a very stressful job. If you are going to play with their working hours and reduce their rest period, what is going to be the repercussions? Who is going to take care of the safety of the passengers? Poor passengers do not know about it. Today, 24 hours interval between two shifts is supposed to be the norm. But today, 12 hours continuous duties controllers are asked to do in the name of out-of-pocket allowance, which is 25% of their normal remuneration. What does it reflect to? Who is responsible for that? Does DGCA does not know about this? Are they waiting for something to happen in controller side also, like it is happening today in the pilot's duty timings? DGCA is very much aware of all these things, and they shall be held responsible and accountable.
And what I found extremely shocking.
Safety is the top priority for any organization. And it starts from the top, Madhav. I am telling you, safety starts from the top. The top man, chairman of the organization. Safety chief executive is supposed to report to chairman direct. I do not know in how many of these airlines or airport authority whether they are reporting to chairman direct or it has been liquidated and diluted to various other categories. I am not very sure about it. Things had to be taken up seriously by DGCA.
Well, we know, and it's quite evident now that there's only one thing that rules the concerns as far as airlines is concerned. This is true of Boeing also. We've seen the various depositions before the various House committees that ultimately profits rule over everything else. Safety takes a backseat. And here you have a situation where the regulators, the ministry, all who should be actually ensuring that have also failed in their responsibility. The government has to account. It cannot run away from its responsibility, whatever said and done. And Professor Jyotsna Thiruguri, I want to take you to what exactly has been stated by Civil Aviation Minister. He says the airline, you know what explanation IndiGo has given? That they failed to calculate how many pilots would be required. This is the biggest airline of the country, which is running on a 90% on-time performance. Suddenly goes to 10% performance. Why? Because they failed to estimate how many pilots would be required. Can you believe it? That's the brazenness, and that's what the government has accepted also as an explanation.
The government has not accepted it. We are, as I said, you have to understand that we are just first trying to restore the situation. And if you have noted what our Civil Aviation Minister has said, he's standing right there answering each and every question, Madhav, and also what he has said is, we are first trying to, sir, I think you have to let me speak, whoever is speaking, the other panelist. The thing is, we are trying to set things right. We are trying to set things at least restore first. At least like kal se aaj thoda better hai, aaj se kal aur better hona chahiye. That's what we are trying in the first instance, Madhav. And again, you have to at least
things are getting from bad to us last 4 days.
1 second, Madhav.
There were 200-300 flights 4 days ago.
That's the
then
reason.
300, then 500, and today over 1,000 cancellations.
No, Madhav, that's the reason. In order to restore at least convenience for the passengers and at least maintain some safety measures for them also, what we have done is we have first at least gone back and said that, boss, you'll have this particular levy for another some more days, but you have to come back with all the norms fulfilled. We have told them. That's what we are doing, Madhav. And again, as I said, that the minister is on the ground, he is there. He's there to talk. He's trying to help people out there.
Kavita Singh, as an organization, Safety Matters, that's looking into this, you've even filed an online petition. What do you demand that the government should do to A, safeguard the rights of all the citizens who've suffered immensely? What is the compensation that they should get? Because they've neither been given food, they've neither been given shelter, they've not been provided alternative flight accommodation as well. What needs to be done for them? And B, how should accountability be fixed as far as the airline in this case is concerned? Should there be a criminal case filed against its management? What really needs to be done? Is a penalty enough in your view? What needs to be done? What exemplary punishment needs to be done so that no airline can even think of repeating this kind of brazen behavior?
So, Madhav, you've said this very correctly. It needs to be an absolutely exemplary punishment or action that needs to be taken. I wouldn't like to call it punishment, but for lack of a word, lack of a better option, let's just go with that. This is very clearly a case of a preventable mismanagement. There was absolutely no doubt that IndiGo knew about these changed norms. They knew well in advance what could be the implication on rosters, on captain availability, everything. They, in October, with the new revised rosters, they increased their flights. I mean, when we are sitting at a period of looking at reduced duty time, why are you not hiring? Why are you not making any changes? You're just blasé, which means there is obviously a collusion which has happened. Now, what our foundation requires is that there needs to be some very strong action taken by the government, by the ministry, wherein a penalty of, say, something to the extent of 200 crores is levied on IndiGo for putting the whole country, holding the whole country at ransom like this. Secondly, this has been a kind of, let's call it a stress test for our passenger consumer rights. Nowhere up to now we have had a forum which diligently looks into their demands, provides their needs when they are going through this kind of harassment. Why does a particular passenger who is already harassed about the events he is missing have to wait 40 and 50 minutes on telephone lines? This should happen automatically. There needs to be automatic compensation to them. There needs to be automatic alternate travel arrangements for them. Absolutely. There needs to be alternate everything for them. So if we talk numbers, I would say maybe something to the extent of 75,000 to maybe 2 lakhs per person, depending upon the gravity of the situation, if it's a senior citizen whose medicines are lost, who's ailing, who's got to travel or whatever, I mean, the degree of harassment varies depending upon the situation of the person. You cannot just refund that amount, which is the cost of the ticket, and be done with it.
And we will ensure, and this I can tell our viewers, we will ensure that Times Now continues to track this story. We will continue to follow this story, and we will continue to ensure that every one of those passengers is compensated, because this kind of greed for profits above safety, above caring for consumers, cannot be allowed to go unpunished. But I want to bring in, on Captain Randhawa on that point of compensation of passengers. Number one, Captain Randhawa, fixing accountability, because this is an airline that is not just expanded its, allow me to please finish my question, not just allowed to, expand its flights, continue to sell tickets on its website, despite knowing that it cannot fulfill those flights and they do not have the staff to do so. This is so wrong on so many counts.
Why hasn't the government stopped that? There is no stoppage from the government. They continue to book. You've seen what the passengers have been saying. And the other airlines, they have taken the fares up to 50,000, 70,000. The hotels are charging 80,000, 90,000 for a night. And Kavita is saying 200 crores. Even 20,000 crores is less for the agony of the passengers which they have suffered at every airport. Total mess. And responsibility of the airline, and the CEO has not been sacked till now. The government
and I want to bring you in on this. The two airlines that are the biggest airlines, the duopoly, Captain Randhawa, both happen to have CEOs of foreign origin who just don't seem to care for Indian consumers. We've seen the state of maintenance of Air India aircraft, the unfortunate crash that happened under the watch of a foreign CEO, and now we are seeing the same thing repeat in IndiGo. What's going on?
When this mess has happened, why hasn't the CEO been sacked? He's the accountable manager. That is within the purview of the DGCA to sack the CEO of the company. Why hasn't he been sacked for
Dr.
this mess?
Dr. Sushilan, would you like to answer that? Captain Randhawa says, why is the CEO not being sacked yet?
Both the company's chairman are Indian. It is definitely leading the company. It doesn't mean that we have to sack CEO for this reason.
Who's going to be held accountable then?
Definitely, airlines will take a call on that they have to sack the CEO or not.
Read the DGCA rule position. The DGCA rule position. If such a mess takes place, the CEO, he's the accountable manager. He is accountable.
Government will take action on them. Airline will call for the accountability for this.
Okay, Dr. Sushilan, conclude.
Yeah, I'm saying that who should be for the entire mess what they have created. But right now, the most of India, the normalcy, and make the passenger comfortable so that they can fly back to their destination. Because I know from back-to-back call where the passengers are stuck here in airlines, the airlines to the calls also, because they are in short of staff in the call center as well. So, but we have our Honorable Minister already assured that every passenger will be compensated. So definitely government is taking action on this call. We had given that the policy will not be implemented. This
compensation on its own is not enough, sir. What about the culprits behind this mess, Dr. Sushilan? That's what we are requiring an answer for. How will accountability ever be fixed? Because I can tell you the committee will come out to say that nobody was responsible. I can tell you what the committee report is today. Because we've seen such farces many times before. Dr. Sushilan.
Come again, Madhav.
I'm just saying that the committee will fix no accountability. I can give that to you in guarantee. It will not take any names. It will speak in broad generalities, because you've seen many such committees. Those who are genuinely responsible for this accountability will never be fixed.
Madhav, take a call, because our Honorable Minister Ram Mohan Naidu is always on screen to give you answer for every small problem also. And over here in this problem, you take a note within couple of days. By Monday, you will get the information that what action is taken against this airline. So we are not relaxing anywhere for the airline. If they did something wrong, they are accountable for that thing. And definitely, the action will be
how
taken.
confident are you that action will follow?
I am agreement with you, Madhav. There is going to be no action. Okay, it is going to be a lukewarm response. If the action had to take place, the heads would have rolled in IndiGo. The ministry and the DGCA, forget the ministry, the DGCA, the DG is empowered to take action immediately under level 1 finding, which you call under the DGCA. Under the level 1 finding, even the AOC can be suspended for few hours. You have so many cancellations, suspend the AOC, treat a lesson to them. As it is, they're cancelling 1,000, 1,200 flights a day.
1,000 flight cancellations a day. We've never heard of something like that. And how can that be allowed to happen? And this is not for any natural causes. These are completely man-made, avoidable causes if the airline cared for its passengers. Here they have played fast and loose, and this cannot go unpunished. Is a simple message that we have to all accept and ensure that there is accountability fixed. Whoever is responsible for it at whatever level within the airline or otherwise, there has to be accountability. The passengers of India, the citizens of India cannot be taken for such a terrible ride ever again. On that note, I'd like to thank all our passengers, D.S. Raghavan, Kavita Singh, C.S. Randhava, Soben Mohanty, Aryan Singh, Dr. Sumit Sushilan, Professor Jyotsna Tirogiri, as well as Jacqueline Barnes. Thanks so much for joining us this evening.